Hello everyone and welcome to my video of the Puma Cup round at Donington Park back in September. Now I'm sorry it's taken such a long time to get to this video. Life's been pretty crazy, but it's here and it was one of the best ones I've ever done, and Donington is such a great place for me. It's where I did most of my motorsport firsts. I first spectated at Donington, I first got driven around a track at high speed at Donington, I did my first marshalling at Donington, I did my first laps in my own race car at Donington, had my own race at Donington, so on and so forth. It's a pretty special place for me, and of course it's just down the road as well, so it's my local circuit, which is awesome. Coupled with the fact that my childhood hero Ayrton Senna drove one of his greatest ever F1 races at this track back in 1993, and mustachioed brummy Nigel Mansell put in one of the drives of the decade in the British Touring Car Championship back in '98, still regarded as one of the best touring car races the country's ever seen, which tees us up nicely for one of the best Puma Cup races I ever had. I won't give away the result. If you don't know, you don't know. Please watch the video. So here's the entry list for today's race. We have 6 cars out on the grid. Decent entry for the Puma Cup. Some of the quick guys are out. Jamie Clare, Luke Johnson, and John Bolt's been like lightning in his new car for the last few rounds. So it's all to race for. Here we are on the out lap, warm-up lap from the pits. I qualified on pole position, and I've got Jamie alongside in the sort of silver and blue car. You might recognise the black and gold striped Mazda just ahead of us. We have raced wheel to wheel several times this year. We seem to have very similar pace in our 2 cars. Now I know that Jamie behind me is a mean starter. You can just see him in the top left there, the silver Puma in the rearview mirror. So I'm very keen to make a good start and try and get a few cars between us and pull out a bit of a gap. Now easier said than done, of course, because look at this. I get alongside the Mazda, ready for the chicane. I can't overtake the Mazda, and look, Jamie's gone. He's perfectly entitled to do that. As soon as the lights went, well, I say went green, went off, he's entitled to put his foot down, and I think he anticipated it way better than I did. And there goes one of the turbocharged Minis and one of the turbocharged Peugeots flying up my inside. So by the first corner, I'm not only second in class, but there are 1, 2, 3 cars between myself and Jamie coming out of Redgate. This is not going to plan. But then of course you remember this is Puma Cup racing, and if you have a plan, forget it. It's never going to go that way anyway. You're always going to have to wing it and just react to what happens on the spot. So look at this. This is awesome. Jamie got stuck as other cars were overtaking him. He was delayed putting his foot down, and I got a brilliant run coming out the old hairpin. Now I had to make a choice here, left, right or on his bumper, and I decided to go right, knowing full well that we got a braking zone here, and I just had to be later. I could have waved at Jamie there, you know, to make it was so close. It was just awesome, and my back end was squirreling. I bet his was as well, but just the fact I had the inside line made it easier to get through. But of course I know Jamie's not going to go away, and this is why, first time in Guroba video history, we're going to watch the race from the rear view camera. I don't mean this to sound arrogant, but by leading the race there wasn't a great deal going on in front of me, and the battle that I was having with Jamie was just amazing. Now there's various points on the circuit where he seems to have an advantage over me, and there's other parts of the circuit where I've got an advantage over him. So the plan now, and I've just said forget plans, but the sensible thing to do rather is to try and be consistent and get a feel for where those advantages are. Now look how much he closes up under braking there. Now I should pull away on the exit of the corner, but I don't really. So I'm pulling a little bit, but not as much as he gained on the way in. So Redgate is somewhere I'm going to have to work on things. And then as we come down the hill to the old hairpin, look again, see what happens. He doesn't close up on me on the entry to the corner, but on the exit up the hill, it's about a par, to be honest. I think I'm taking a wider line than him, and he's just creeping up, but there's not going to be anything he can do before we break for this corner at McLean's, where he manages to just steal another couple of car lengths. So that's 2 corners on the lap now where he's had an advantage under braking. and look how much curb he takes there. Again, perfectly entitled to do so. He was clearly more comfortable really riding those curbs. I was a bit wary because they can unsettle the car and they can bounce your foot off the throttle a bit, which I didn't want to risk with this massive long Starkey straight leading down to the S's to finish the lap. So let's see if what happened on lap 1 happens again. We're just flying down the start line now, and is Jamie going to make as much space and time under braking for Redgate? Here comes the braking zone around about now, but he's got the Mazda on the inside. But yes, look at that, another couple of lengths under braking, but he doesn't make his apex and he misses his throttle point, which means that I can pull a bit more of a gap as we head off down the hill down towards the old hairpin. Now, I've always been good round the old hairpin. I love it as a corner, and it really pees me off when someone does it better than me, because I feel like it's my flagship. But again, look at that, Jamie's just carrying a bit more speed, braking a little less, and he's getting on the power a little earlier, which helps him all the way up this hill. Now, it doesn't look like there's much gradient from the video, but believe me, there is. It's quite a steep haul up there, and it's quite a long one as well. And again, coming into McLean's on the brakes, he's got me. He's better on the brakes. Now, a lap and a half into this battle, you know, we've never been separated by more than 3 or 4 car lengths. In terms of assessing the situation, I know that Jamie has got the brakes on me. If he gets his nose up the inside, he's going to outbrake me. So that means I'm going to have to be defensive on the way in and reactive on the way out. If I can be defensive on the way in, it will compromise my exit of corners, but if I can be savvy about things and make sure he doesn't stamp his throttle any sooner than I do, I should be able to get away with it. Now, one of the things about the Puma Cup is that we race on a grid with other series. There's the Mazdas, who we've mentioned a moment ago, and there's one of the Mazdas poking. Look at that! Oh, I forgot it was this lap. He dived down the inside under braking. I didn't see it coming, and I can't really take much credit for saving that position. Jamie went in, he gave it a chance. I didn't do anything specific to keep him behind, but he realised he'd just gone in a little too hot and needed to tap the brakes, I think, in order to make the corner. But wow, that woke me up. I'm really driving on the mirrors, and look how much closer he is this time as we come up to the right-hander at McLean's. Is he going to go to the inside? No, he's not really got enough time, so I'll take to the middle of the circuit, again being defensive, which gives Jamie the better exit. I cannot tell you how intense this is, constantly watching the mirrors, watching wing mirrors either side, see which way he's going, looking in the rear view mirror, and you can see in my rear view mirror in the top left corner of the screen, it's a big mirror. It's about 1.5 feet long to give me a wide angle, and the idea is that it shows you the sides of the car as well as the rear view, so you don't really need the wing mirrors. The problem is the back of the Puma is filled with roll cage metal, and because of the seating position as well, which is a bit different to being in a normal road car, that rear view mirror gives you very little visibility. It does have its use, but predominantly you're driving on the wing mirrors to see which side a car's going. Now again, Jamie's having a look at Redgate, but I'm wise this time. He tried that last lap and I wasn't ready for it. This time I was. But he's also got the Mazda to consider. The Mazda sort of tried a move on Jamie, and I think he knew that if the Mazda got between us, it was going to be pretty tricky for him. So he's got to really make sure that the Mazda stays behind, which is bloody hard because that Mazda is quick. You just saw behind the Mazda there's the sky blue Puma of John Bolt as well. This is John's second car after he had an unfortunate accident here. Sorry, I can't remember where it was, but this is his rebuilt car. Or is it a rebuilt car? No, sorry, it's a new car, and he's really found the pace with it. So even though Jamie and I are storming away at the front, John's not that far behind. So any mistake by myself or Jamie could be punished and go from, in my case, first all the way down to third and no sniff of anything. So the pressure is really on. Now, I was mentioning earlier about the multi-class situation. We've got the Mazdas on this grid. We've also got the turbo tin tops. And look at Jamie's having another look up the inside, but I braked super late there and made sure that he wasn't going to be able to get through. He does have a good run coming out of Redgate, so out of the S's. So I'm expecting him to have another go as we approach Redgate in a moment. But he's got the Mazda to deal with. Now, at the moment, that Mazda is saving my bacon, really, because without that Mazda distracting him and without that Mazda affecting the way the way Jamie is attacking things, he'd be able to spend more time attacking me rather than defending against the Mazda at some point and attacking me at some point. He'd be able to put all of his attention onto the attack. Now, this has been 3 or 4 laps of intense racing between myself and Jamie. Again, I messed up the hairpin there. He got a good run on me, and then the Mazda gets involved. I'm in the middle, and whoa! I missed my gear completely. More on that in a second, but you can see now the Mazda's on the inside on the right, Jamie's on the outside. He must have been shocked by that as much as I was, and he will be absolutely kicking himself that he didn't manage to get through. So, the Mazda is now gone, and Jamie and I are battling each other. Jamie knows that I'm feeling the pressure. Missing the gear, the braking points. Have to be honest, I'm not good when I'm out in front, but then you know what? Neither is anybody. It's always so much easier to follow a car and chase a car than it is to be the one in front being chased. Now, this footage was the live broadcast that the CSCC did on the day. So I can't remember who the production company was. I'd like to give them a big shout and a big credit, because being able to watch our cars race around with this kind of quality from video cameras is great. We don't always get it. I have muted their sound because of the commentators and such like, and I hope I'm not treading on anyone's toes by putting this clip in. I just think it really shows how close and intense the Puma Cup racing was this year, particularly at this race, that we got so much airtime from the host broadcaster. Get the down bottom of the circuit here. Look at Jamie's the car's moving, and this is what you can't see about the Pumas from the in-car cameras so much. When we take in the corners, they're set up so stiff that they kind of bounce around the corner sometimes, rather than take the corner in the conventional way that you'd expect a car to. And you can see from this footage that Jamie was just much more aggressive around the corners than I was, and that's just something I'm going to have to work on. So back to the rear view camera now, and I don't know what else to say. It's just been, we're 13 minutes into this video now. The first couple were the preamble about Donington. This has been 10 minutes of non-stop bumper to bumper. It is epic racing, and this is why I recommend the Puma Cup to anybody wanting to get started in motorsport. It's entry level. You don't need to be a mechanical genius. You don't need to be a company director or have a sponsor paying you thousands of pounds. You know, people race these cars on next to nothing and build these cars on next to nothing, and it is all relative, I'm aware of that, but as far as bang for your buck is concerned, the Puma Cup really is where you want to be as a newbie into motorsport. Now, myself and Jamie have both been doing this for quite some time, so we've managed to unlock these cars, if you like, and you can see John behind in that blue car. He's not dropping off. He certainly knows what he's doing, but there's a spread through the grid. The blue car of Cotgrove and Simpson is their first season this year, and they started off a couple of seconds behind everybody at Anglesey. The next race they were racing in the pack, and the next race they picked up a podium. Such is the learning curve of the Puma Cup. So anybody can get involved and start getting results straight away with the right kind of application, the right kind of attitude, so on and so forth. That's why I can't recommend it enough. This is my last video of the season for Puma Cup racing, but during the winter I'm going to do a few videos about how to get started, do's and don'ts, things to consider, and such like. So if you are half interested, please have a look at those, like and subscribe to the channel, keep an eye on them through the winter, and number one thing, get in touch. Send me a message, send me an email, send anybody in the Puma Cup a message. message. Ask any questions. Everybody will be willing to help you, and everybody will want to help you, because the more Pumas there are, the better the racing is, and the better the atmosphere in the paddock. So we will all do what we can to encourage you to come racing with us in the Puma Cup. Okay, now I don't know how many times I've tried talking about this and then been interrupted by something happening, but I'm going to go back to the multi-class thing. We've got the Mazdas and the Turbo Tin Tops racing with us, and the pace of the Turbo Tin Tops is way quicker than us. So after a number of laps, round about this many laps, here come the leaders. Now this green Volkswagen is the overall race leader. They've caught us up after 6 or 7 laps. Now I don't want to get in the way of the leaders. I don't want to ruin their race, but similarly I don't want them to compromise my race either. Being this close to Jamie and with John not far behind, I don't want to get held up letting them by. Now the Pumas are much better on the brakes proportionally than they should be, and that can surprise the other cars. Now here we go, another Volkswagen coming up the inside, but Jamie and I are better on the brakes than they think. Now granted, Jamie and I are doing about 110 miles an hour. They'll be approaching at a much faster speed, so have to brake earlier. But I'd forgotten that I came into the pits on this lap. Let me explain why. Every Puma Cup race, every driver has to pit for 90 seconds. This is so that the two driver teams aren't at a disadvantage by doing their driver change. However, listen. Did you hear that? I made my pit stop to get out of the battle with Jamie now the leaders were coming through, thinking that if I can get out of the pits and have some clear space, I can make some time up, while Jamie is potentially getting held up by the leaders that are overtaking. So that was the reason that I pitted early in this race. Now, the thing that I asked you if you could hear was the engine died for the first time ever in the pit lane. The engine just stopped when I came into the box. That's never happened before, and that made me think, have I got a problem with the engine? And do you remember when I buzzed it earlier when I missed that gear going from 3rd to 4th? I'm now a bit worried that my engine might not be quite right. However, back into race mode, 90 seconds in the pits, and there's Jamie. Just goes flat. I've gone back to the forward facing camera now. Donington is about a 90-second lap, and the fact that I had to spend 90 seconds in the pit lane means that Jamie is 1 lap ahead of me. But it's okay, because he's also got to make his 90-second stop. So what I plan to do now is to get right onto his bumper, potentially overtake him before he stops. But I don't know that, unfortunately, I'm now nursing a bit of an engine problem. It turns out from the missed gear we bent one of the valves. Now, well, a couple of the valves actually. Now the car's still revving all the way up to 7,000. However, oh, I forgot about this. There was oil on the track there. And do you remember the Cotgrove and Simpson car I mentioned earlier? There they are in the gravel on the left. So I've just lost a little bit more time to Jamie, which is annoying because I need to be making time up to him, not losing it. And the best race of the season quickly, and I'm sorry to say, turned into the worst race of the season. The car in the gravel at McLean's that you just saw caused the yellow flags and then the safety car to come out. I've just passed the yellow flag there. Now, Jamie is he knows what he's doing. Yellow flag, safety car. Jamie goes into the pits, and there was another car stranded there at the pit entrance, which was odd. Now, Jamie's in the pits for 90 seconds. In an ideal world, I have to go flat out to try and get all the way around the lap and past the pit exit before Jamie leaves the pits. Unfortunately, in safety car conditions, you have to slow the car down considerably and catch up to the safety car in a controlled manner with no overtaking. So you can see here, I'm not driving slowly, but I'm certainly not at race pace. And I have to be respectful of the fact that there'll be marshals on the circuit. I know that the incident is just up here on the left, so there could be marshals, there could be more oil on the circuit, there could be more cars, there could be recovery trucks, so we have to slow right down. All this time, the time is ticking. Now, it's well, there's the recovery happening with the snatch tractor of the other Puma. Shame to see them in the gravel. But now I know full well that Jamie's going to get out ahead of me, and this is why. Now, I've decided to do this little diagram for you to give you a better idea of what's actually happening under the safety car conditions. Jamie, the blue car, at the exit of the pit lane. Safety car is the red dot, and of course I'm the yellow one. Now, I would have loved to animate this for you, but you can get the general gist. I am allowed to drive around and catch up the safety car. Jamie is allowed to do exactly the same thing. Now, what that means is that I end up getting stuck behind the safety car when I catch it, and Jamie, the blue dot, can drive all the way around the circuit, not at race speed, but he doesn't need to drive at race speed. He can just go all the way around and catch up the crocodile, if you like, behind the safety car. So this is how we'd line up. Safety car, me and Jamie. The difference is, although I'm ahead of him on the track, he's actually ahead of me by a full lap. Now, that is devastating, to say the least. Considering the battle we were having, it is a real shame. There's nothing I can do about it. There's nothing Jamie could do. I mean, Jamie's now got a slam dunk win. He's about a lap, he is a lap ahead of the entire Puma Cup field. Now, I don't begrudge Jamie of that because, you know, it happens that way sometimes. I've benefited from safety cars in the past, and on this occasion, I've been horribly stung by a safety car. I did speak to Jamie afterwards. He was as gutted as I was because he was loving the battle, and a little bit of me kind of wanted the charitable side of him to basically go and take another pit stop and, you know, let me get my lap back so that we could continue our battle. But the competitor, you know what, you take your breaks when you get them, and I don't blame Jamie one bit for not doing that. Although it's nice and noble to say that, I'd like to, no way would I. If someone's going to give me a lap for free, I'm going to take it. Even if it means driving around on my own for 20 minutes and not enjoying a brutal wheel-to-wheel battle like we were doing, then so be it. You pay your entry fee, you take your trophy, because 9 times out of 10, you're going to get messed up by these situations. So when one falls in your lap, you take it, and you take it with zero guilt whatsoever. Now, because of the safety car, it has bunched us up. Now, Jamie got his lap, but the cars behind me, I have to admit, I don't honestly know what was going on. I didn't know who had pitted and who hadn't. My mechanic, Mark Chappell, on the pit wall, he hangs the board out for me, but there's only very limited information he can put on that board, namely things like position, time to go, time to the car in front, time to the car behind. And although he can identify the car behind, it can be a bit tricky because he's got very limited letters and numbers that he can hang out on that board, which is one of the reasons we're going to look at getting a pit car radio for next year, which will make the communication much easier and much smoother, and hopefully make these videos a bit more entertaining as well, because you'll be able to hear mine and Mark's conversation live during the race. Now, this is quite a rare situation I'm in. I am right behind the safety car. Back to the CSCC feed for the afternoon. I wanted to put this in because it makes it look like I'm leading the race. I assure you I'm not. But there's me, 2 minis, 3 minis, and there's Luke in the silver Puma with the sort of Lumo flashes. And then a little bit further back, here's Mark Herbler in his Puma. I'm fast forwarding here because we're just stuck behind the safety car and nothing's really happening. So I've fast forwarded the footage. What can we do? I didn't know how far Luke was behind me. I didn't know if he was there for position. I didn't know anything else about what was going on in the race. I was hoping that we would get waved by. As lapped cars, sometimes the clerk of the course will instruct the safety car driver to let X amount of cars through, and then we can race around the circuit and join the back of the crocodile and essentially claim our lap back, but that's entirely at the discretion of the clerk. They make that decision based on a number of things. The safety of the crews that are out there doing the recovery, the quality of the race, if anyone's been messed up by it, just general safety factors. One of which is that you've got one of the slowest cars on the circuit, namely my yellow Puma, leading much faster cars, and that can be a bit of a recipe for disaster. So I just decided to stay well out of the way here. I'm going to stay well over on the left, let the quicker cars through, and that's when I realised that I've got Luke in my rearview mirror. Now we've gone. This is the restart happening again, so this is a duplicate bit. But you can see 1, 2, and the third Mini. I was a bit hesitant letting him go, but I wanted him gone, and yeah, that made sense. So yeah, the next car in the rearview mirror is Luke. I don't know if Luke is racing for position with me. I don't know if he's made his pit stop or not. He could be a lap ahead of me, he could be a lap behind me. Because of that 90-second thing, when somebody takes their stop, they come out back in the pack in almost the same position they were relative to when they made the stop in the first place. So I don't know if this is for position with Luke, so I just need to get my toe down, try and build a gap. The first half of the race with Jamie, obviously we managed to pull away from Luke, so I'm hoping we can do the same again. However, unfortunately Woodstock the Puma is not very well. That bent valve, although we didn't know it was a bent valve at the time, it was only when we took the thing to bits later. I was struggling for revs. Normally I change gear at 7,000 RPM, and it was starting to run out of steam at about 6,600 maybe. So I was just losing that little bit of top end grunt. But here's another leader having a look on the inside. No chance, pal. Wait your turn on the exit of the corner. There you go. I think that's Sean, actually. Hi, Sean. And then here comes one of the Fiat Cinquecentos as well. Yes, a little bit down on power. I looked at the pit board as I went past there, and Mark told me that I was something like 85 seconds behind Jamie on a 90-second lap. So that perfectly illustrates the full lap down situation. And I believe now that the gap to Luke behind was for position. So I think Luke pitted at about the same time as I did, and unfortunately got stung as well by having to give up a full lap to Jamie. I was going to say the rest of the field, but it's only Jamie managed to take any advantage of it. So you can see in the rearview mirror, here's another Mini about to come flying up the outside at Starkeys. The blue car just in front of us, I think, is that... Oh, no, that's a Mini as well. Sorry, I thought that was Lisa and Toby in Fiesta. But it's not. And here's that yellow Peugeot in the rearview mirror again, the one that overtook us on the start line. Here comes another Mini. This is why I was hoping the clerk of the course might have let me past the safety car, because I've got all these faster cars behind me and I'm just in the way, and I don't want to ruin their race. And of course, every time one car overtakes another, it can be a bit of a flashpoint and can be a bit dangerous, which is why I was hoping I would get the wave around the safety car. But, and again, respect their decision, they got way more info than I have, they chose not to do that. Now, at this point, I'm afraid I'm going to call time on the video, because I was pulling away from Luke. He'd also got engine trouble, and there's no way I was ever going to catch Jamie. So that was the end of the race. There's your results. Jamie won, I was second, and Luke was in third place. So apologies if that feels a little bit abrupt, but the next 15 minutes I was just driving around on my own in an underpowered car. Not very exciting. So, what a season it's been though. You know, this year we've been out this many times, and it's been an awesome season. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 trophies. We DNF'd at Silverstone because we didn't manage to fix the end, and we didn't enter the final race at Cadwell Park. But look at that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 trophies, never lower down than second place. It's been a breakthrough year for us in the Puma Cup. We've put a lot of hard work in, a lot of effort, but we've been given the rewards for it. It was disappointing to finish with the DNF at Silverstone, and again we missed the round at Cadwell because we were competing in the Burkett Relay instead. But what a season. Thank you to so many different people. Derek Hawkins lends me his trailer every time I need to go racing. He's never said no. Can't go racing without a trailer, so thank you so much, Derek. DHD Motorsport, Danny, Martin, Gary, Joe, Joanne, Paulie. Oh man, there's so many people at DHD, Manoj and Uncle Fester and loads and loads of people. They've all been a massive help. They've got so much experience, and every time I have a problem, every time I need a bit of help or guidance, the guys at DHD come through and help me out without question. And then of course there's the other Puma Cup drivers. We are a really close-knit group in the paddock. Every single driver has raced me fairly this year. Every single driver has been willing to talk to me, willing to help me and encourage me, and I'm very grateful for that. Thank you ever so much, guys. And here she is. It wouldn't be a thank you video without a mention to my mum. Look how happy she is. That was the first time she sat in Woodstock. My mum's been great. She's everyone's favourite mum in the paddock, I think. Thanks ever so much, mum. Love you loads. All your support, all your help, all your encouragement this year. Also, thank you to 2RM Motorsport. This is my friend Chris and his buddy Sol. They've been a big help on the technical front with the live streaming and the YouTube and all that kind of stuff. Those guys run their Mazda in the 750 Motorsport Road Sport Series. Sorry, 750 Motor Club Road Sport Series, and a part of our St Winifred's School Choir Burkett team as well. Thank you very much, guys. Final thank you to the CSCC and Puma Cup staff. Of course, for us to go racing, there's an awful lot that goes on in the background. All the admin from what's been a very difficult couple of years with COVID and the pandemic, and the club really do make the effort to put the drivers first, give us the best bang for the buck and a really safe and smooth racing experience. And then on top of that, there's the Puma Cup staff who look after our series independently. They might look after the trophies, the entries, they manage things, they just put the whole thing together. And frankly, if it wasn't for them, none of us would be racing, of course. So thank you very much. There is one more thank you to do. It's the obvious one. Are you ready? Are you ready? It's Mark Chappell! Mark and I have been best of friends for over a decade now, and he's been mechanicking for us in the Puma Cup since day one. Before then, actually, when the Puma Cup was just an idea, Mark was right behind me, and I remember the first time I mentioned to Mark, do you want to go racing? This is the plan. He was so full of beans, so enthusiastic. Pretty much words to the effect of, John, whatever you need me to do, let's make this happen. And every single time I've asked something of Mark, he's delivered without question, without hesitation, and way above and beyond any reasonable level of I don't want to say expectation again, but yeah, when if I wanted something doing, Mark just does it, and he does it beyond. Examples, I'm not going to mention brake pads at Knockhill. Yes, I'm going to mention brake pads at Knockhill. This guy managed to change something like 8 or 9 sets over the course of the weekend, 2 or 3 of which were in the pouring rain, freezing cold at gone midnight, and he's never mentioned it since. He doesn't complain, he just gets on with it, and I love how enthusiastic he is. He's a great friend of mine. I couldn't go racing without him, but take the racing out of the equation, he's just he's one of life's truly great people. I'm very proud and honoured to call him a friend. I've got a lot of love for him, and Mark, it really is thanks to you that I get to go racing, and I know you get a lot out of it too, so it's a two-way street, but together as Team Guroba we have a blast and bring out the best in each other at the racetrack, which is what it's all about. Now, Team Guroba heading into the winter, so we've got plans over the winter to keep you up to date with what we are planning. Plans about plans, I know that's a little dubious, but yeah, there's already something huge happened, but I'm not ready to announce what that is yet. I want to get a few more ducks in a row, but yeah, we're going to keep you flooded with content. We're going to be launching a new website. We're going to be formally launching the Arrive and Drive and track experiences so that you can come and get involved. There might even be a merchandise range change. How cool would that be? There's a lot of things to sort out, but then we've got all winter to sort them. So in the meantime, thank you to everybody for watching this video, for all your support over the course of the season, for watching the videos, inquiring how we got on at the track, encouraging us, supporting us, generally being interested. It really does mean the world. So thank you very, very much to everybody, and we shall see you soon. Thanks very much, folks. Goodbye.